from something. The streets got stories, cold ones, berry ones. And out here, truth don't sleep. I seen good men lose their way. Killers turn to ghosts, injustice. Take too long to answer the call. But this
is 12 gauge Ennis.
Where every case pleads true.
Every file got a heartbeat.
And every cold trail still got smoke rising.
We talking about living fast, dying young, but fighting to live right now.
Cause legends don't fade. They echo through the evidence, through the crime scenes, through every voice that never got heard. This ain't entertainment, it's real life reloaded.
Welcome to 12 gauge Ennis.
All right. Happy Monday to you all. My name is 12 Gauge. Thank you for coming to my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. I'm getting into the Halloween spirit, I guess. This is one of the masks that I had from last year, and I thought I'd get on here and I'd wear it for a little while, as long as I could tolerate it, as long as y'all can hear me. You know, this show that I'm going to be doing tonight has a lot to do with The Perfect Neighbor that had been on Netflix, and it's an awesome show. If you haven't seen it, you know, there's a lot of controversial stuff. Man, my hair is all over the place, huh? It's controversial, and it'll make you kind of want to take sides. You know what I mean? It's one of those that makes you want to take a side, whether you're for or against. But ultimately, you know, when somebody loses their life based on their principles, it's really tough to advocate for those people. Hell, you know, there's been people advocating for the Idaho 4 for Bryan Kohberger and all his silliness and dumbassness. So I know you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Since there's nobody here yet, you know, this was supposed to happen at 7:30, but I thought I'd get on here a little early, you know what I mean? I don't even know if anybody's going to show up. Which, that's all right with me. I'm still going to do it regardless, you know? Because it is Monday, and Monday Night Football for a lot of people is, you know, a big deal. I don't even know who's playing tonight. That's the weirdness of it all. I know you can't see my eyeballs because these slits in this mask are really, really small. But this is last year's mask, and, you know, I had a good time with it last year. You know, so I thought that, you know, I'd put it on today and give you guys a little pre-Halloween mask per 12 gauge. Well, let's get on with the show. Let's get on with it. Let me get the stuff that I want to show ready to present. Yeah, this is getting hot real quick. We'll do the Vinnie Politan. We'll do the Vinnie Politan one first. You know, because it really starts out diagramming the crime as it happens. Hello, thriller reader. Thank you for being here. He is the one that kind of diagrams it the best. So I thought I'd use his first, and then we'll go with law and crime. I don't know how my thing got all messed up. I don't understand that. Like I said, my hair is all out of place. Let me know if you can hear me. And here we go. Let's see what he got to say.
Here's the story. In the quiet streets of Ocala, Florida, a mother named A.J. Owens raised 4 children, her home a haven of love and trust. That house, however, would soon become the epicenter of a tragedy captured in raw detail. On June 2nd, 2023, neighbor Susan Lawrence stood behind her locked front door and fired her gun, killing A.J. through the threshold.
Okay, I'm going to take that off. Whew, it's a little hot. Anyways, if you haven't seen this on Netflix, this is exactly what happened. Is she was provoking these people, and she was calling the police every chance she got on these children because they would be in a vacant lot adjacent from her home. Well, that adjacent lot, somehow she felt that she was entitled to tell people what they could or couldn't do in that vacant lot. I don't know if you have children or if you grew up in an environment like that where you knew of a vacant lot where you went and played as a child, and it was just understood that you could go and play at those areas, and nobody really tripped. You know what I mean? They didn't trip out. They didn't call the cops on you, regardless how loud you were. Well, let's continue to listen to Vinny.
The case exploded onto screens and tablets when Netflix released The Perfect Neighbor, a documentary assembled from police body cam footage, 911 audio, and detective interviews. But before the movie, in a trial broadcast live here on Court TV, jurors were shown the chilling interview where Lawrence claimed she had no choice, citing Florida's stand your ground in self-defense law.
So if you don't know what your stand your ground law means, it means that, you know what, you're not supposed to kill the person. You can, only if it's justified. Stand your ground means that let me make sure that I'm stating this correctly out of Florida. Yeah, I already looked this up a while back. It says laws that are statutes to remove the legal duty to retreat in the face of a threat. So you don't have to retreat. You're allowing the individual to use deadly force in self-defense in public places if they believe that their life is in danger. So the Castle Doctrine, I was thinking of that one, which traditionally applies only within one's home and allows for the use of force without a duty to retreat. Many states have these laws, though they can vary significantly, and they are often very controversial. So no duty to retreat means that a person has no legal obligation to try to escape a dangerous situation before using deadly force. This contrasts with states that require a person to retreat if they can do safely. So the stand your ground means that you can, if you feel that you're in danger or that your life is in danger, you can do what you need to do to eliminate the danger. Otherwise, in some states, you can't kill the person. You have to just injure them enough to escape, and you have to escape. Well, you can't shoot them in the back. You can't shoot them multiple times. Unload the clip. I believe that she shot this woman one time through the door. Let's see exactly what happened if you haven't seen this.
But the jury rejected it. In August of 2024, she was found guilty of manslaughter and received a 25-year sentence. Now serving time behind bars, Lawrence watches her perfect neighbor image crumble as the documentary reignites the debate. When is a door a defense, and when is it a coffin?
So I ask you before I continue this, I mean, a lot of people get annoyed because I stop, start. Well, YouTube is not friendly whenever you play more than probably 10, 15 seconds of a video, especially if it's from somewhere such as Court TV or any kind of news agency. Usually you have to commentate. And that's why I constantly do this. And, if that annoys you, I'm sorry, but that is usually how it's done. If other channels do it different, I don't know how they get away with it. I don't have that luxury, and I've never been able to do it without the stream being, reported, locked down, and having to start all over. So that's why I stop and start so much. So here we go.
This story gets you angry, makes you sad as well. The documentary on Netflix, everyone obviously talking about it. They put together all the body cam video and the interviews, but we gave you the trial first here at Court TV. And the backstory is, the way I would describe Susan Lawrence, the defendant, the shooter, the killer in this case, is she was kind of like that neighborhood grouch who gets mad, get off of my lawn kind of thing.
Yep.
The only problem is she really didn't have a lawn. The kids were playing in a lot next door to where she lived.
Right.
She worked and lived at home. She didn't do much. She didn't get out much. She lived by herself. And she just got aggravated with the kids playing all the time. Kids playing. Like, that's what kids do.
She lived with her two cats. Those were who she lived with. And if you watch the documentary, you notice that her two cats were her world. Hey, Texas, thank you for being here, buddy. I want to talk on this because, there's a lot of middle-aged people that cannot stand kids. Kids that play, kids that giggle, kids that do all sorts of things that kids do. They can't stand it. And you have to ask yourself, what is it that makes these people so hypersensitive to the noises that kids present? What is it? Type in the chat or type in the comments if you watch this on replay. What would you believe a middle-aged person or even a younger person, it doesn't matter how old you are, there are some people that can't stand children having fun. And I believe, I would worry about the cats too, because obviously the cats probably made noise too. Supposedly in this documentary, she threw the toys that the kids used to leave next to her fence or whatever, or she'd take the iPads, and I want you to remember that iPad, because that's going to be the catalyst in this story. So here we go.
In neighborhoods, in empty lots. That's what you want them doing. So what I want to start with is the night of the shooting. So this sort of feud and tension had been brewing in the neighborhood for over a year. There have been calls, etc. We'll get into that. But I want to focus right now on what happened that day, that night of the shooting. And you're going to listen to interview, 911 call, and you're really getting it from her perspective for the most part, but not entirely. Let's take a look.
How many times have you guys been able to communicate in that year and a half or 2 years?
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times.
Her son, early in the night, before I called the police, I don't know how old he is, but he said, "I'm going to make sure you get killed tonight."
Which son? She has 2 sons.
I know. remember, it was one of her sons, but he was there. He's like, I'm gonna make sure you get killed. I'm gonna make sure that, you know. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
So think about that a little bit. If you're young and you have an open field, just like Texas just said, football is an awesome sport to be playing in an open field. I'm going to put my buddy right here where you can see his head. You know, an open field with a lot of trees and cover for, you know, times where you get hot, you can chill under those trees and continue to play football, soccer, kickball, anything, you name it, frisbee in that field, you know, and you don't have to worry about it. This lady didn't even own this house. I think it was like a condo, maybe a townhome. She didn't even own it. So she was renting it, and she was acting like this field was hers and hers alone just because she didn't want these kids to be out there doing what kids do. Tell me, have you ever been a kid and used a vacant lot as a place of enjoyment?
So this person ever showed you a weapon or anything like that?
No, but I mean, the little kid said it, and then all of a sudden his mom's coming over and she's banging and screaming, and the kids kept putting things out. They had marbles by my truck. They put their skates out. I tripped over the skate one morning that I had to leave very early, and I'm like, crap. And I'm like, stop leaving your freaking toys here, you know. I'm not the most stable person, you know, with my knees and stuff like that. So when I'm walking, if I fall again, you know, who knows what's going to happen.
Okay, I get that. Like I said, I'm going to be objective here. So I get that point. I get that part right there. You know, I live with young adults around. There's bicycles. Hell, there's the scooters. There, you name it. There's buckets, there's trash cans, there's all kinds of stuff. If you are not mindful of your surroundings, you're going to know that you could potentially be tripping on stuff. That is not the responsibility of the kid. Because granted, some children or even young adults are not responsible enough to pick up after themselves. Hell, I know adults that aren't even responsible enough to pick up after themselves. And she's saying, well, she's not the best of footing. I get that. I get that she could have tripped on that, right? I get that. She's an elderly lady. She's older. I get that. I get that point. But does that give you the right to do what you do in the future? I mean, how did she have her breaking point? Did she have her boiling point where she had enough? We're going to find out.
She made a statement, something to the effect of, why'd you take my kid's iPad? Okay, somebody heard her say that.
I never touched an iPad. I never saw the iPad. I don't know what this iPad is
A
about.
tablet or something like that.
Again, no tablet, no iPad, no electronics at all. It's never there, or at least I never saw it.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
Was she, maybe she's wrong, but was she asking you about it?
I mean, do you believe her? I mean, you've watched enough people that watch my channel. They watch enough true crime. They watched enough interrogation videos. This is not an interview. This is an interrogation. As you can tell, the questions are a lot more harsh. Look at her demeanor. Is she giving off a vibe that she could have been guilty of doing what she did? Is she argumentative? Is she giving off a vibe where she's not being truthful? Because she's being interrogated at this point. Do you believe her? Do you not believe her?
A tablet or accusing you of something with a tablet or an iPad? I don't know if it's an iPad or a tablet. She could have.
Is there any reason?
What this tablet thing is?
It's like an Amazon tablet, you know, electronic tablet.
I never saw the tablet. Never. He kept saying, "Where's my tablet? Where's my tablet?"
Oh, so he did ask you about it, but you didn't have it.
Of course not.
So you never.
I never saw it. Never picked it. Never touched it up. And
Why would
nothing.
he make that part up?
I have no idea.
Because he said, and it really doesn't change.
Doesn't change.
It doesn't change anything. I'm just trying to understand. He said that he he was going to the basketball courts after they played in the field. He's like, I forgot my tablet. And he comes over and he sees you holding it. And he says, put it down.
No.
And you kind of tossed it down. And then that's when you threw the skates and one of them hit him in the toe or the foot or something like that.
No, because they were standing here and I threw it with my left hand.
Okay.
I made sure that I just threw them over to the other side.
And that's what you told him to fetch or something?
Yes.
And you told him to
I
fetch
said, you
it?
can go fetch it over here now.
Okay. What was she saying again?
She's like, you can't talk to my sons that way. You know, I'm like, you're trespassing, you know?
So you were communicating with her through the door? You were-
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, just leave. You know, I don't want to hear, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. And I didn't think too much of it until she really started pounding that door. I'm like, oh my God. Then I got scared, like terrible.
So if you've seen this documentary, you know when she was asked the first time, let me give you a little highlight if you haven't seen it. She gets arrested for the crime, okay? But she's let go. She bails out. I guess they detained her for questioning and then they let her go. So she really wasn't a suspect at that point because they didn't keep her. They arrested her 2 days later of murder. And the lady whom she shot died the same night that she was shot. So that doesn't make sense to me. They should have arrested her for murder at that point, or at least manslaughter if it was premeditated. But you have to put this all in perspective. The cops were called out there almost every other day for these kids either harassing this woman, leaving their toys on her step, taunting her, you know, all those things. So, was she a victim or was she culpable? I want you to make up your mind once we get through this.
Terrified, scared.
Now, you had initially called,
Because it-
did you call 911 or
Yeah,
did you use the emergency number when you called?
When the first time, because kids said, I'm gonna kill you, and my friends kill you, I'm like, oh my God, you know, what the hell's going on now? You know, I'm like, I don't need this aggravation.
So you called, was it 911?
Yeah, I called that.
Okay. And that was before HI came over? Okay. And the kid, okay, so we get like, as the deputies are responding, the call takers talking to you, they're putting information that you're telling them into the computer, which goes to us as we're going out there. So in that call notes, there's never any mention of you saying that they said that they're going to kill you. It was more or less that they're...
Okay, she didn't mention that they were going to kill her when she made the 911 call. I want you to be really listening to this because she contradicts her stories. But could she be contradicting those stories in a shock phase, so to speak? Let me know if you have trouble hearing me. If so, then I'll take it off, or I'll take it off when I can't tolerate it. But was she in a shock phase whenever she called 911 that night? And she never mentioned that the lady said she was going to kill her. She mentioned that there's somebody attempting to break down my door. I don't know who it is. So she called 911 and it was like 2 minutes after she called 911 and hung up. And there was gunshots.
harassing you, that they're...
Oh, no, I told the lady that they said they were gonna kill me.
Okay.
No, I was very specific when I spoke.
You said that you kept the firearm in the trash can in the bedroom, so at some point, did you go?
Yes,
So you thought about it and said, I might need this, or?
absolutely. I mean, I got terrified. I mean, I was so terrified she was gonna come in and kill me.
When you're inside the house and she's on the other side of the door that you can't see through and she's pounding on the door, you make the conscious decision to...
Okay, like I said, she called 911. She hung up. 2 minutes after calling 911 is when she shot through the door. The woman was pounding on the door. She didn't mention anything about, the woman going to kill me or whatever. And she shoots through the door. She injures the woman, and the woman later dies.
Aim your gun at the door and fire one round, right? Just one round.
Yes,
Did you call 911 immediately after?
as soon as I found my phone.
Okay, how much time do you think after you fired the shot?
You said it just-
So within a minute,
Within a
and you
minute, yes.
immediately called 911?
Yes.
So you just try to break down my door? You said someone tried to break down your door, is that correct? Yes, the woman was screaming and yelling and she was trying to break down my door and she was... Okay, it was a female? Yes. You know what to do? I got my gun and I shot at the door.
Okay. So, there you have it. That's what happened. Do you believe that she had the right to shoot through that door based on her recollection right there? Somebody beating on the door. She's scared. She shoot through the door. And you heard what she said. I thought she was gonna get me. That's why she shot through the door. Let's continue on.
It starts that day, at least, some dispute about whether or not she took the kid's tablet, and then there's a tossing of roller skates, and it ends up with the mother of the children coming over, banging on the door, and then Susan Lauren shooting the mom, AJ Owens, through the door, through the locked, bolted door, metal door, shooting through it, one shot, and killing her. By the way, when she's at the door, she's there with her 9-year-old. All of that brings us to the first.
So think about that. Think about that. When she's at the door, AJ, she's there with her 9-year-old. This lady shoots through the door, hits the mom. AJ, or her son, her 9-year-old son, runs across the street to get help, stating, the Karen has shot my mama. Imagine if that little boy would have got hit too.
First question in our investigation. Why did everything escalate?
Of course.
How do we
Why
go
did
from
it escalate?
roller skates, tablets, to a call about harassment, to shooting and killing a mother of 4? Here to help answer that question.
Let me ask you a question, chat, and the viewers that are watching. Did the police drop the ball on this? Is there something they could have done to keep this from escalating? Could they have could they have, if the woman that shot and killed AJ, if she had made any terroristic threats, could they have arrested her at that point? Could they have stepped in and possibly done an intervention with both sides? So not only did you go talk to this person, you went and talked to this person, you gathered these people together where you could have a powwow to make sure that everybody is on the same page. You had to have been getting tired of the phone calls. This woman was calling nonstop on these kids, on these families across the street. Was it a racial thing? Because this lady is Caucasian, and the lady that she shot was African American.
Private investigator Lauren Bellucci and psychiatrist, forensic specialist, and medical health expert Dr. Yalda Safai. Great to have you both here. Lauren, what are your thoughts here on the escalation that night, right? Like, we know there's been tension throughout, but that night, it seems like it all started when the kids were in that side yard playing next door to her, and there were roller skates and a tablet. How do we go from that to shooting and killing this mom of 4?
Well, I mean, it seems very apparent that you have a grumpier older woman who just has a disdain for children. So I tend to believe the kids on this one, that she was taking their property and throwing it and taunting them. She was even calling them racial slurs, which is unacceptable.
And let me answer this question. Yes, they were called before. They were called almost every other day. The police were called. Did you start early or am I way late? I started a little bit early. You're not too late. Yes, the police should have brought them together. They should have brought them together and had a powwow and said, hey, y'all got to find a way to, y'all are the adults. Y'all got to find a way to coexist without this escalating.
And because of that, I think that probably was the final straw. And the mom came over to want to have a little chat because it's her child. And I get that. And so it just escalated from there, and unreasonable things happened when they didn't have to happen.
Dr. Yildiz, let's talk about both parties here. Let's talk about the killer first, and then let's talk about the mom and how we got to this escalation of emotions and ultimately escalation of force to deadly force. What are your thoughts?
So it seems like things escalated pretty quickly when in fact it didn't. From my experience, things like this don't just happen. There's usually background and context. And in this case, it required weeks, or I don't know, even months of anger, resentment, irritation building up in this woman. When these things build up, you oftentimes need a trigger to act out or do something violent. In this case, the trigger for her was the mother knocking on her door. So you get a lot of anger and resentment and hate in this woman that was brewing for a long time, combining with the trigger. And unfortunately, the ultimate tragedy happened here. I've seen this happen all the time when there's a lot of anger and resentment in a person.
And you know, people on the other side are saying, well, at the same time, these parents should have been parenting their children and said, hey, you need to respect this lady's wishes. Don't play in that field so much. But at the same time, I got to ask you, what if these children were playing in that field since they were babies, since they were toddlers, you know, running around that field, because this lady just moved into this apartment or condo or whatever it was. She hadn't lived there very long. So she was acting like, I'm renting this place and you're bothering me. You're bothering me. Like I said, I get it. There's stuff that bothers me every Saturday morning when I'm trying to sleep in. But do I go out guns blazing? Do I go out shooting up the neighborhood because things are getting on my nerves? You should have a little more self-restraint than that. And this woman and everybody else involved, hindsight 2020 says possibly they could have handled it different. She might have still been alive. Nobody is above the other. There was a lot of wrong done in this case.
They just need a trigger to act out. And this is exactly what happened.
And how about for AJ Owens? What is it that makes her go across the street and bang on this woman's door at 9 o'clock at night?
You know, it looks like from her documentary, she was just being a mother. Yeah.
No, go ahead, doctor.
She was just being a mother. I mean, if somebody does something to your kid, yells at your kid or threatens.
Okay, this is perfect. This lady's house is right here with this gate or this fence. This was the area in which the kids were playing. I don't know if they got close to the tree for shade. They left their stuff on the sidewalk for shade. You know, whenever you're preparing to go play as a kid, most of the time you walk on the sidewalk, take your shoes off or whatever, even if you leave your shoes on and you're going to roller skate on this sidewalk, aren't you going to leave your shoes and the roller skates once you decide to go play in this field? You're going to quit playing with the roller skates and you're going to go play in this field. As you can see, there's a no trespassing sign. And in the video on Netflix, there are 2 no trespassing signs. She got mad because the kids came and tore up one of them. So that was something else that triggered her. She got mad because the kids would run into this little area, yelling and screaming, and then run out. Is she justified? Was she justified? Do you agree with her or do you not agree with her?
Threatens your kid, you go into mama mode, right? You become a mama bear and try to defend your kid. So I don't really blame this woman for doing what she did. She was just trying to protect her kid.
Lauren Vellucci, what do you think happens if instead of firing through the door, Susan Lawrence opens the door? What do we think happens?
I think she would have encountered a pissed neighbor who had messed with her children and there would have been an exchange. But I think it all comes down to the fact that this lady, Susan, had been mistreating these children. So had Susan opened the door and had an adult conversation, it would have de-escalated the situation, I believe.
But also, one thing that is not being spoken on right now, that was spoken in the documentary, is that Susan proclaimed the reason she didn't answer that door and the reason that she was scared for her life, because at one point in her life, she had been raped and beaten. And she was, the reenactment was presenting itself. I don't understand why the mom had to take, after all those times that they called the police, what was different on this night? What made her snap to have to go over there and take it into her own hands? That's what I'm asking here. What do y'all think? I wish there was more people in here because this is a good show to have a lot of great conversation. So if you're watching from the sidelines, come on in. Let's hear your thoughts on this. Okay?
If she's greeted her and, okay, tell me what you're upset about. Let's go through this. You're my neighbor. I don't want to have these type of arguments with you. I think that would have calmed her completely down and this whole situation would have been fixed with communication, which I don't think we have enough in our system today.
Dr. Safai, why didn't she wait? She had already called police. They were on their way. Why did she fire through a lock?
So that's a good question, too. She claimed that she called 911. She hung up with them. 2 minutes later, she's firing through the door. What was it that happened from the time she called 911, the time she hung up? In those 2 minutes, what compelled her to shoot through the door and kill that woman? What compelled her? What was the reason she could not wait for law enforcement to get there? She had called all those other times. They did talk about it in the Netflix series. I'm going to keep playing this.
Bolted metal door and not just wait, I don't know, another minute, 2 minutes, whatever it is, knowing that police were about to arrive.
Right.
That would have been the rational thing to do, correct? And she's no stranger to the police. She had called the police many times before. But in my opinion and what I've seen, when people are under a significant amount of stress, they don't think rationally and they act before they think. And this Florida Stand Your Ground law is done just that. It's given people the permission to act before they think. And I think this is what happened in her case.
All right, guests are staying with us. Coming up next, was there any way to prevent the shooting?
I mean, think about this a little bit, too. Could she have said, you need to get away from my door. I got a gun. I've called the police. Did she do the right thing? Did she handle it the right way? Could there have been anything different that she could have done, in your opinion, to have possibly ended this peacefully? Or did she handle it the way that you would have handled it? Because there's people that would handle this in a different situation, especially here in Texas. Because there's multitudes of people that say, you know what? You come through that door, I got something for you. But she didn't come through that door. She was at the door beating on a steel door with double locks. And this lady was scared for her life. Did she make the right decision? Let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching on replay.
Verdict as to count one. We, the jury, find as to count one of the charge. The defendant is guilty of manslaughter.
Manslaughter.
I've committed so many horrific acts over and over and over.
Do you think you deserve to die for murdering those innocent people?
You tell me. I wish more than anything.
Come over here. Oh, wait, wait, close the door. I have to
That's just moments after the shooting. She's put in cuffs, she's detained, and then the investigation begins, and it takes a while before the arrest. It's not an automatic arrest in a case where you allege self-defense down in Florida because of the Florida laws.
Okay.
So sheriffs and deputies, they've got to investigate all the facts and then come to their determination. She was actually interviewed twice. She's interviewed that night and then comes back for a second interview and is then officially charged. I want you to take
I take that back. Then when they did charge her, when they did arrest her, at that point it became an interrogation. Up until that point, when she's talking to investigators, detective, that is an interview. So she's given them an interview, her take on the situation. She obviously was interrogated after she was arrested. She shouldn't have shot through the door. I agree with that. I mean, had that lady busted in and had a weapon as she saw her cross the threshold, at that point, bam, it's her ass. She could have waited, but the lady did not, AJ did not have a weapon. She was unarmed. If anything, she had the roller skate in her hand. That's it.
Look, as we've been discussing this night, it wasn't a one-night deal here. It wasn't like all of a sudden this happened. There was tension brewing in the neighborhood.
Right.
You go back 16 months before the shooting. There's another incident, this one involving Susan Lawrence and the victim, A.J. Owens, the mom. And again, it's Susan who calls 911 on the mom, accusing the mom of throwing a no trespassing sign at her.
Right.
Let's take a look at some of that video.
I'm sorry, my heart's pumping. I just didn't know she was going to actually get physical with me.
What's on the sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and that's not cool. You don't get physical. I mean, that's ridiculous.
She just threw it?
No,
So these are supposedly adults trying to coexist together. But neither one of them have the coping skills to communicate, just like that lady says. Neither one of them have the capacity to coexist and communicate and draw boundaries and say, look, when I'm home during these hours, or these are the hours when I'm writing, or whatever the hell Susan did, I'm sleeping, I'm on medication, I have health problems, whatever. Then you leave it up to the other families to be responsible to care for their children. If they don't care for their children, you have no right to police other people's children. Those days are long gone. They're long gone. It's sad to say. If you get onto somebody else's child, you best be ready for a fight. And maybe she knew that. Maybe she knew that. Maybe that's why she had the weapon.
she whipped it at me. I mean, she hit me.
She's showing her sign, showing her sign.
There's the victim right there.
She went and bought a little private property sign and she stuck it in there. So she has a sign. She's basically like.
There's the victim right there. There's AJ. So could her stature have scared Susan? Was she in the right? Because AJ's stature was so much bigger than Susan? Or was she still... I'm not trying to justify the shooting. Don't get it twisted. I'm not justifying it, okay? So don't come at me. I'm not justifying. I'm asking questions for the chat, and I'm asking questions for the people that watch this on replay. Because there's a lot of reasons that nobody knows to this point what made her fire through that door. What made her not wait on the police?
Woman sign on the straight to them. She went to pick it back up. I picked the sign up and I threw the sign. I literally picked the sign up, and as I walked off, I threw the sign. I said, I can go and buy a sign too. It still doesn't mean anything.
So there's a couple of things to take away from this. Number one, Susan Lawrence is putting no trespassing signs up in the small yard that's part of the unit that she's renting. And you've got the neighbor from across the street with the children that Susan is always getting so aggravated about, picking up that no trespassing sign and throwing it. Susan said it was thrown at her, but this resulted in no charges against anyone. Which brings us to the next question in our investigation. Was there any way to prevent the shooting, which really is the escalation of what happened over the course of more than a year inside that neighborhood? Still with us, helping us with our investigation, is private investigator Lauren Bellucci and psychiatrist, a forensic specialist, medical health expert, Dr. Yalda Safai. Dr. Safai, what are your thoughts here? Because, you cover a story like this, and I think it's something people may be able to relate to, that they've had situations or maybe a current situation in their neighborhood where things are tense. How can...
And you say that this is a cut and dry case. There's no story here, nothing to see, none of this stuff. Well, think about this situation like I'm saying. This lady did not live at this location. She had barely moved in not long before. These kids had probably lived there longer than her. There was a group of them. There was a bunch of kids. And they would go in that lot and play. What was the harm being done other than this woman possibly didn't like kids? Maybe there's a reason she had 2 cats.
Neighbors, what could have been done here when these tensions are continuing and not getting better, but seemingly getting worse?
So, Vinny, this is what I tell my friends and family and patients all the time. You cannot control other people's behavior. All you can do is control your own behavior. I always say avoid confrontation with people you don't know at all costs. It is not worth it. There are a lot of unhinged people out there. You never know how they're going to behave. So be the first one to apologize. Walk away. Even if you think you are in the right and the other person is in the wrong, it's not worth it. Walk away. So my advice always is, Vinny, if you...
I mean, to be fair, we always talk about call law enforcement, call 911. Do this, do that. Well, this lady was calling 911 every other day for months. You watch this documentary, that's what happened. One time they didn't show up. So that was her excuse. She said, I didn't believe that they were going to show up. So that's part of the fear that I had. I was vulnerable. I was, elderly. I was scared for my life. I was scared. What do you think, chat? Give me some thoughts because I want some feedback from you guys. Do you believe that she did the right thing by firing through that door? Would you have been scared just like her if you're of her age and tragedy had happened to you in your life? Should the mother beating on the door not have beat on the door? I mean, I don't want to victim blame here. I'm trying to make this all add up. Let me see what you say. Both sides were wrong. If your kids are annoying someone, then tell your kid to keep away. Were they tormenting this lady or just playing near her home? It was my impression that they were going into the sidewalk by her home, and even in that little alcove where the fence is, they were leaving their skates, they were leaving the iPad because they were playing in the field. And they were being loud, and anytime this woman would come out or stare through her slider, that would be like, shaking their ass or whatever. Nah, you can't get us, whatever. All that crap. You know what kids do. Who was fueling this fire? Was it the parents of the kids? You don't have to listen to this lady? Or could they have done better? Could this lady have done better with her communication skills? Could she have just put some earplugs in? Because a lot of times we're in these situations and we don't know what to do. We feel like, okay, I rent this place. I shouldn't have to, be held hostage by kids playing outside. But look, those are some of the things you ask when you're renting a location. Is there a lot of children in the neighborhood? Do they play in this field? Are they, constantly going and coming? So, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Here we go.
See a person who is hot-tempered, who is agitated, do not do anything to make it worse. You never know how they're going to behave. Walk away. It's not worth it.
Lauren Vellucci, this is a situation where there were calls to 911, and it's always Susan Lawrence who's calling 911, complaining about this, complaining about that. Do you see any other ways that things could have calmed down rather than escalated inside of that neighborhood?
Yeah, Susan could have packed up her stuff and went to a 55-year and older subdivision where she wouldn't have had to deal with children exuding joy while they're playing outside. But if she wasn't willing to do that, I mean,
I was thinking that just now. As she said that, I was thinking not so much as packing up, because most of these places are 6 month to a year rental, okay? I would have done my 6 months. I would have, spent time elsewhere, maybe with family on the weekends when, whatever times were the worst. I would have asked family, hey, can I come hang out over the weekend? Try to find somebody with an extra bedroom, whatever. Just do my time while I had to pay the 6 months or a year, and then found a different place to live. Because ultimately, she's the one with the problem. Those other people were already there, and I'm sure that's what they looked at it as. We've been living here longer. How dare you come in here and tell us we can't play in this field?
I just don't know if there could have been like some kind of an intervention, because this wasn't just this one lady, Owens's children. She was doing this to children all over the neighborhood. So I don't know if that was something, but hindsight is 2020. It's hard to say that now because you don't think some random person is going to shoot through a metal door when they're inside their home safe. But now we could kind of pick it apart a little bit and say, hey.
Here in the true crime community, we have different variations of understanding. Safe to me does not mean safe to you. Frozen shock phase means one thing to me, it means another to you. Failure to call 911 at a particular time, this lady called 911. Was she in the wrong for defending her house? You get what I'm saying? The perception of safety is different among different age people. And I keep referencing that other case because y'all know that case well. Safety to 19, 20-year-olds is one thing versus unsafety to a 55-year-old plus woman. You get what I'm saying? So it's in the eye of the beholder. So you can't just take it in one perspective and say, well, what's good for this person is good for that person. Because there's different life experiences or different things that have happened to people. Maybe she came from a quiet neighborhood, or maybe she moved from a noisy one and thought, well, man, there's no houses next to me on the backside. It's going to be quiet. All the houses are across the street. It's going to be good. But then she found out she was wrong.
Hey, maybe that would have been something that the neighborhood could have come together and done.
Yeah, you mentioned other people in the neighborhood. I want you to take a listen. This is another piece of the body cam video. And in this piece, you can hear someone else from the neighborhood reference Susan Lawrence, like understanding her and giving their perspective of what just happened here. Let's take a listen.
This There is still someone with a gun.
She's inside.
Okay.
Where?
Bro, where? Ex-military. She's in the house, bro. That apartment.
Dr. Safai, you could hear, just like Lauren was saying, people in the neighborhood immediately are saying she did it on purpose, like they know her. This is an ongoing thing. So let's branch it out to the whole neighborhood, a neighborhood of families and kids, and everyone knows this is the neighborhood grouch. This is the one. Anything that the neighborhood collectively could have done here.
So look, I wonder, hers was the second one right here. So this was a duplex, it looked like this person, did they ever complain? Did they ever have issues with this? Or maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I'm thinking that this is Susan's right here. Hers was toward the back, but it might have been this one. I don't know. It's been a minute since I watched the documentary, but if you know, go ahead and type that in the chat. I believe it's this one. I could be wrong. But think about the other neighbor. Did they ever have a history of calling the cops? Did they ever have issues with the kids running in that field? And that field is not small by any means. You have to be right next to her gate or her fence, or at least where this shade starts, to start really hearing the loudness of the kids. You know, I don't know. I hear noise outside. You know what I do? I turn up my TV. I turn up the laptop, whatever it is I'm working on. Hell, worst case scenario, I've even put in some headphones
to try to bring down the temperature in that neighborhood.
This is tricky because it's not like they can evict her or, you know, run her out of her house because she's annoying and grouchy, right? Going back to what with someone like this, a person who's agitated, a person who calls the police on you for doing absolutely nothing, is to avoid that person.
I mean, the mindset that you start off with is usually the mindset you're going to carry all day. If you're not a happy person, that's what I'm saying. If this person had health issues or she was dealing with family issues or whatever that kept her unhappy, if she was going through her day with those type of issues, or maybe she was just an unhappy person, anything would piss you off. Like I've always said, the way you look at your world, it's the way that you project it onto other people. If you're unhappy, then everything in your world is going to piss you off. It's going to make you edgy. It's going to make you angry. Everything is going to make you upset. Obviously, she was not a happy person.
Seeing this documentary, I thought to myself, if it were my kids, I would make sure to tell them to stay as far away as possible from this woman's lawn for their own safety as possible. So I think collectively what they could have done was to completely avoid this woman so she does not get agitated, she does not act out, she does not call the police. But really, there was no other option. It's not like they could have evicted her.
Yeah, and that's the problem here, right? Like you're not doing anything wrong, but you're the one who has to walk on eggshells, and your kids have to walk on eggshells. And think about this: the world we live in now, where our kids don't want to go outside. This is a neighborhood full of kids. That's all they wanted to do, was go out and play outside.
And that's what one of the police officers praised the kids. They're like, you are playing on this field. You are playing outside all day long. I appreciate you rather doing this than breaking into stuff, carrying guns, all this other stuff. I mean, there's a happy medium somewhere. They just were incapable of finding it for whatever reason.
Dr. Safai, Lauren Vellucci, so great to have you with us. Thank you so much.
It's that.
Still to come, we're going to dive into the law now. How does stand your ground / self-defense apply to this case?
Thank you so much for that comment, PKC. I can see how motorbikes could get on their nerves for real. And let's get on with this.
Documentary, The Perfect Neighbor. 4 children are now growing up without a mom because of an unnecessary escalation of a neighborhood feud. Here's the story.
The Hatfields and the Flares.
For months, tension simmered in a Florida neighborhood, children playing in empty lots, 911 calls, and a neighbor's mounting frustration. That frustration boiled over when Susan Lawrence shot her neighbor, A.J. Owens, through a locked doorway, forever shattering a community. The story is laid bare in the Netflix documentary, The Perfect Neighbor, where raw police footage and testimony reveal how a dispute over roller skates became fatal. At the trial broadcast on Court TV, the jury faced the question of fear versus anger and ultimately convicted Lawrence of manslaughter in August of 2024.
And that was the definition. Was it fear? Was she fearful for her life? Or was she just an angry, vengeful woman who shot through that door and killed an innocent person? Was that person indeed innocent? Or were they both wrong?
Now behind bars for 25 years, she watches the documentary unfold the truth she denied, the line between vigilance and vengeance.
Okay, I want to shift things now to the law. The law. I want to put it on the screen. This is a part of the Florida Justifiable Use of Force statute, okay? I'm going to read it. A person who is in a dwelling or residence in which the person has a right to be has no duty to retreat. You don't have to run away. And has the right to stand his or her ground and use or threaten to use deadly force if he or she reasonably believes that using or threatening to use such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself.
Okay, so hearing what you've heard so far, did that law justify her actions? And that's what a jury had to deliberate. Was it fear? Was it intentional? Was it anger? Or was it premeditated? Because if she made any comments or any threats up to the point and something happened, then it was premeditated. And that's what I wanted to say to you guys really quickly on all these social media platforms. If you're making an idle threat towards anybody, property, or a place, or an individual, if you're making a threat such as, I'll come over there, let me know where you live, or you know where I live, you come over here and I'll kill you, or something of that nature, and something happened to that person, guess who's going to be a primary suspect? Even if you didn't do it, there's visual, there's letters on a screen, there's all kinds of stuff that could ultimately get you hemmed up. So be very mindful of these idle threats.
Self or herself or another, or to prevent the imminent commission of a forcible felony. A person is presumed to have held a reasonable fear of imminent peril of death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another when using or threatening to use defensive force that is intended to likely cause death or great bodily harm to another if the person against whom the defensive force was used or threatened was in the process of unlawfully and forcefully entering, and the person who uses the defensive force knew or had reason to believe that an unlawful and forcible entry or unlawful and forcible act was occurring or had occurred. Kind of thick in part, but this is part of the law that is relevant to this case. And that brings us to our question. How does stand your ground / self-defense apply to this case?
So that's where I'm going to stop it right there because I don't want to hear from a lot of lawyers and stuff. And I know you probably don't either. I'm going to play the other one that's not as long. And it kind of outlines the case a little clearer than this one did. But I wanted to give you the law factual type scenario versus the quick law and crime version. And this one is probably 27 minutes. But this one just as good. It outlined the case a little bit different. So let's get on with this. Let me know if you're enjoying this. If you are, hit the like and subscribe button, not because you like me or the content, or because you like the content, not because you like me. If you like me, that's a bonus. And when I say content, I'm talking about presentation. I'm not really just talking about the content, because there's some serious content that we talk about that is really not favorable topics. But if you're hitting the like button, hit the like button because of the presentation. Well, here we go. This is Sidebar with Law and Crime with Jesse Weber, and I'm presenting this under fair use. Educational purposes only.
Believe that her conduct was necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm against her.
It is virtually impossible to convey all of the ways Susan has devastated our lives.
The documentary film, The Perfect Neighbor, is essentially the #1 program in the U.S. on Netflix right now. And the Sundance Film Festival winner chronicles the case against Susan Lawrence, the woman who shot and killed her neighbor. And through body camera footage and interrogation tapes, we are seeing this picture. But what the film didn't take a deep dive into was the court case. So Law and Crime, we covered this trial gavel to gavel. We are going to take you through powerful attorney statements, critical witness testimony, and an emotional sentencing. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Netflix's latest true crime documentary, The Perfect Neighbor, is dedicated to what it calls Ajaka A.J. Owens' legacy, her 4 children. The 35-year-old woman was gunned down in her Marion County, Florida neighborhood on June 2nd, 2023 by her own neighbor. Then 58-year-old Susan Lawrence lived across the street from Owens and her kids, and the women had some tense exchanges about where many kids in the neighborhood were allowed to play. You see, next to the cluster of apartments where Lawrence had rented, there was this empty, grassy field. So naturally, the kids gravitated toward it, right? They played tag, they threw footballs, they generally acted like kids. But as you know, with rambunctious young kids comes a lot of noise, and apparently Lawrence didn't like that at all. So despite having no ownership of that open area, by the way, she was constantly scolding the kids for playing there and being loud. She also involved Marion County deputies multiple times, calling to report the kids that they were trespassing or being a public nuisance. And in the months before the tension between Lawrence and Owens came to a head, Lawrence called 911 to report that Owens had thrown a no trespassing sign at her.
I work at home, I do insurance, and the kids are screaming and yelling. And so it's very hard for me. This is my apartment here. They're all here in the front. It's really, we can hear it's loud as soon as these kids are out there. The kids. Yeah. But when they come on the side here, I just can't hear my clients. Okay. That's not fair to me.
Yeah, I understand.
Right to have people in quiet and quiet.
I understand.
I'm sorry, my heart's thumping. I just didn't know she was going to actually get physical with me.
What the other sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not cool. You don't get physical. I mean,
Did she just throw it?
No, she whipped it at me. Okay. I mean, she hit me.
Deputies,
So you can hear the kids yelling and screaming while she was talking to the police officer. Kids will do that. They'll antagonize you because they don't understand the severity. You get what I'm saying? They don't understand the severity of what they're doing because they don't have that life experience. Let's continue this on.
They spoke with Owens as well, whose frustration with this whole situation was definitely palpable.
It's funny because I'm the one that never comes outside and says anything to her. But today, I just happen to feel led First of all, before she moved there, this big open space right here, all the kids, they like to play kickball, football in the space she moves in. I don't want y'all playing over here. This is private property, so they don't play there. Okay, fine. I told my kids to leave. They're playing over there, y'all don't go. Okay? So we have a dog, and she's always taking pictures of the kids. Oh, I'm going to call police and have you guys arrested. Always, she's bad with the kids. So I told the kids to go over there, stay away from there, don't, whatever. So we have a dog. My kids take the dog out. The other day, she tells my son, I'm going to have you arrested, and we're going to jail. He's 8, so he's terrified. He won't even walk the dog anymore. Let her and all that. Okay. So she's terrified. He won't even walk the dog anymore. So I had my 11-year-old take the dog out now. So he's walking the dog on this side. Now you live on this side, okay? You don't want him over here, fine, but this is joint area. You can't tell them they can't walk on this side. And so he's walking the dog, and he's all the way back towards the fence.
So, okay, that makes sense. I didn't understand that before, but that makes total sense. They incorporate, because they live right across the street from this field, and their front yard is basically a driveway. So they incorporate that field across the street as being a yard. You get what I'm saying? Like they believe that the field was an extension of their yard because it was right in front of their house. Whether it was or whether it wasn't, the man who owned the property in the documentary did not have a care in the world about those kids being on their yard. So they would take the dog over there. The dog would take care of business, whatever. They would play over there. It was an extension of their yard because their yard was just a concrete slab. That makes sense. I didn't get that in the documentary.
I'm standing here on my phone. She comes outside to go to the car or something. She sees him. Oh, I told you I'm going to have you arrested. I'm going to have you arrested today. She has her phone out like she's taking this picture or whatever. Now he's trying to run back across the street. So I said, I'm sorry, what are you saying to him? And so I go over there. So this is my private property. They can't have a dog over here. I told her, first of all, he's not on your property. He's on this side. You don't own it. And even if he was on this side, you don't own this either. You're renting this just like I rent over here, just like they rent over there. You don't own this. You can't tell them technically if they're not in your personal space that they can't walk the dog or even throw their football over here.
And Owen's neighbors backed her up.
This is just an open field. You know, it belongs to both property. You know what I'm saying? So if the kids want to play there, whatever. And that's what I keep telling her. Hey, as long as you don't get in her door, you don't start throwing rocks, don't be cursing at her. It's okay. She can cup the cups whenever she wants. But and I was trying to reason with her one day because we were all playing here. You know, the kids, everything jumped. All right, let's go. And she's like, hey, you know what? One day you guys are gonna die. And I'm like, and that's when I like, whoa.
As we're covering this,
see that statement right there? If that was true, that premeditated. If she did speak to them like that.
kind of story, I will just say, even if you're not a journalist, staying on top of what is going on in the world is so important. But look, these days, with all the media bias, the mistrust, it can feel nearly impossible. Lawrence called 911, reporting to the dispatcher that the child had threatened to beat her up, that she was in fear for her life because they were still outside. Now, Owens, who was furious that Lawrence had not only yelled again at her children, but also threw something at one of them, she goes across the street, she starts banging on Lawrence's door, demanding she open it up and speak with her. Instead, what does Lawrence do? She fires a gun through the locked metal door, hitting Owens once in the chest. Owens collapsed, was still showing signs of life before she was rushed to the hospital.
And that's what's sad, that if she was that close to the door and she did indeed shoot like that through the peephole, under the peephole, whatever, that means they could gauge the distance of that bullet. So if she fired right through that door like that, that means she wasn't in fear for her life, because she edged close enough to hit this woman. If she fired from across the room, what are the odds that she would have hit her? If she shot just like that, right through the peephole or underneath it, then she deserved to be where she's at.
But the hope that she might survive, that was fleeting. and it led to this just absolutely heart-wrenching moment that was caught on body cameras.
It has been a very bad day. There's something bad that's happened. And y'all seen it, y'all understand it, y'all experienced it, right? Okay. Y'all love me? Okay. Y'all love mom? All right. Well, I got some bad news to tell you. Mom is not coming back anymore. Come, Paul. Come. No. Come here. Come over here. Listen to me. No, I know. Okay. It's okay. I know. Okay. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You can't go.
Yes, it's all right. You guys are going to be okay. It's all right. You guys are all right. Okay.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I know this ain't easy.
Now, here's the thing. While Lawrence was detained that night, she was released. Yeah, she wasn't formally arrested until several days later, something that caused uproar in the community. And during that time, she had multiple interviews with detectives where they tried to get her side of the story.
So what happened tonight that led to the conclusion that?
Well, I'm like, kids go home. So they go home, and then all of a sudden she comes out and she is just banging on my door. I'm like, go away. I'm not dealing with you tonight. And then she started banging so hard, everything started shaking. And I'm like, you really need to leave. And I said, I'm going to kill you. And she's just banging away. You know, I'm like, oh, it's crazy. And ever since she has actually harmed me, I'm like, it just keeps getting worse and worse. I'm like, I don't know what to do with her.
I got triggered by that cell phone going off because that's what my on-call phone sounds like. And I'm all looking around for it. Did y'all see me? I'm like, I'm not on call anymore, thank God, as of today. So you heard her story. And those of you who have seen this know how this plays out. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Oh, shit. I almost booted myself off StreamYard. I almost X'd out the live. So I ask you, what is your take on this? Because I've been talking about this for an hour and 17 minutes. Right. She banged on her door, but she was unarmed. The woman that lost her life was unarmed. She banged on that door. Her 9-year-old was standing right next to her while she was banging on the door. She was supposedly retrieving an iPad that the little boy had left after she threw the roller skate at one of the kids. Her 9-year-old child left the iPad and she went to retrieve it, I guess. And as she was banging on the door, Susan felt fearful for her life and she shot through the door. So I ask you, if you're watching now or you're watching in the future, I'm not asking you to take sides, but I want you to use your analytical mind. Did the jury get this right? Did the jury get this right? Or was Susan justified? Was she justified in standing her ground? Let me know in the comments after this live is over, or let me know in the chat. I mean, she's been sentenced to 25 years. So I need to find out if she pled or she was sentenced by the jury. I think she was sentenced by the jury. I don't think she pled. But manslaughter was the charge. Do you believe that Susan had every right to stand her ground. The jury ruled 25 years that she was guilty of manslaughter. So that's the jury verdict. So you tell me if you believe that the jury got it right or Susan was justified. But thank you so much for spending this Monday with me. If it's your first time watching, like this banner says, remember to hit the like button and subscribe. This channel presents cases just like this. Not really to take a side, but to have just conversation while the case is unraveling before our eyes. This was an interesting documentary on Netflix. If you haven't seen it and you have Netflix, you might go check it out. Please remember to go hit a like for Vinnie Politan and Law and Crime. If you aren't subscribers, or maybe you don't even like those channels. So, thank you so much for spending this Monday evening with me. I hope you guys have a beautiful night. And once again, go check out some of the short reels that I created today. Some of them, if not all of them, are AI generated. So, some of them are pretty funny. Go hit a like on those if you enjoy them. Thank you so much. Y'all be safe out there and watch your six. And try not to handle things with anger because, you know, when we handle things with anger, sometimes we do irrational things. But we're going to be rational at this moment and have the maestro cue this music. And this is once again, my name is 12 Gauge. And this is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. Y'all have a lovely night.